Good morning and welcome to Voice of the People TV. I am Promise A, bringing you the news update. Nigeria's Special Presidential Envoy on Climate Action, Ajurin Gelale, championed Africa's green economic interests at the Global Energy Transition Congress in Milan, Italy. During a high-level dinner, Gelale engaged with influential figures, including former U.S. Presidential Envoy on Climate, John Kerry, and former UK Prime Minister, Tony Blair. He emphasized the importance of steering the global energy transition towards creating green economic opportunities for Nigerians and Africa. Gelale noted the increasing prioritization of climate justice in the global south and reiterated his commitment to ensuring the energy transition benefits for both Nigerians and Africans at large. Meanwhile, the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, has stated that INEC lacks constitutional authority to conduct local government elections, except in the Federal Capital Territory. Yakubu made this statement during a two-day introduction retreat for INEC residential electoral commissioners on Monday in Lagos. The retreat aims to prepare the resident electoral commissioners for the upcoming governorship elections in Edo and Ondo states in September and November, addressing calls for INEC to be given the responsibility for local government elections. Yakubu emphasized that this requires a constitutional amendment. He explained that the Constitution also establishes the State's Independent Electoral Commission, that's SEC, and INEC cannot assure their duties without changing to the laws. Yakubu noted that INEC can only conduct local government elections in the Federal Capital Territory, which includes 6 area council chairmen and 62 councillors. He highlighted that INEC has successfully conducted these elections regularly in the FCT, which was a free and fair election. To security matters now, the Ogun State Police confirmed that one person was shot and another kidnapped by the bandits at the Delabo axis on the Shagamu-Ijebode Expressway. SP Omolola Udutola, the command spokesperson who disclosed this in a statement issued today, said that the incident occurred at 7 p.m. on Sunday. She stated that unknown gunmen in an unregistered Toyota Venza trailed a man in his Toyota RAV4 marked AGL 16JE to a rough portion of the road and blocked his vehicle. She said further updates will be communicated to members of the public, as the identity of the kidnapped victim is yet unknown. She added that the Commissioner of Police, Abiodun Alamatu Mustafa, has been briefed and he has detailed the anti-kidnapping unit to take up the investigation. In the same vein, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar said the lackluster posture of the federal government is reversing military success recorded against terrorists in Nigeria's northeast geopolitical zone. The opposition figure condemned the recent suicide bombing by terrorists in Goza, Borno State. He asked the federal government to wake up and make sure that the Northeast does not slide back into a theater of terrorism and extreme violence. You may recall that 18 persons were killed when some suicide bombers set off improvised explosive devices in Goza over the weekend. You're still watching the news updates on Voice of the People TV. We'll bring you more stories after this break. Just stay tuned. Welcome back, and this is still the news update on Voice of the People TV. Now, in a recent appeal, Isaac Fayose, the younger brother of former Ekiti State Governor Ayodele Fayose, urged President Tinubu to release Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB. Fayose believes that Kanu's release would mirror ex-President Jonathan's approach with Niger Delta militant leader Tompulu, which included granting contracts. Fayose urges that freeing Kanu would significantly reduce insecurity in the southeast and potentially boost Tinubu's votes in the region for the 2027 elections. He made this call through a video on Instagram, emphasizing that reducing crime in the southeast by releasing Kanu would cut security expenses by half. His appeal comes amid similar calls from 2023 Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi and other Nigerians appealing for the release of Nnamdi Kanu. Away from that, the federal government has established an advisory board and a ministerial task force on malaria elimination in Nigeria. This initiative aims to accelerate progress towards eradicating the disease in the country. The announcement came from Shekama Hannah, Senior Advisor for the Media and External Relations to the Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Muhammad Patey. The advisory board and task force are tasked with spearheading efforts to combat malaria, which remains a significant health challenge in Nigeria. Malaria, a life-threatening disease transmitted through bites from infected female anopheles, mosquitoes, is widespread across Nigeria. The World Health Organization estimates that Nigeria experienced nearly 67 million malaria cases in 2022. Now, according to the 27% of the global malaria burden, additionally, Nigeria accounted for 31% of global malaria deaths and 38% of global deaths in children under 5 in the same year. During the inauguration of the advisory board and task force, Professor Patey emphasized the substantial impact of malaria in Nigerians, highlighting mortality, mobility, loss of work hours, out-of-pocket expenses, and government spending on treatments and interventions. He called for a paradigm shift to a more proactive and result-oriented approach to defeating the disease. The House of Representatives, led by Speaker Tajuddin Abbas, asserts its role as a beacon of hope for the masses, according to Deputy House spokesman Honorable Philip Agbese. In a statement, Agbese underscored that the Parliament's foremost commitment is to the people, guiding all legislative decisions and actions. Speaking from the Pan-African Parliament's third ordinary session in Johannesburg, South Africa, Agbese praised Speaker Abbas's leadership approach, recommending it as a model for the entire continent. Agbese highlighted Speaker Abbas's belief in Parliament as the primary voice of the common man to engage with the executives, emphasizing the necessity for its serious consideration. He also added that Abbas advocates for an open Parliament that upholds accountability and transparency consistently. He further stated that under Abbas's leadership, the 10th House has actively addressed critical issues such as poverty and inequality, ensuring marginalized voices are heard, demonstrating a steadfast dedication to serving the people. Nigeria is facing another severe cash scarcity, with many automated teller machines, popularly known as ATMs, and banking halls running dry. This crisis has forced depositors to rely on street currency traders masquerading as agent bankers. Despite a rise in currency in circulation to 3.97 trillion naira, only 6.8% of these remains within the banking system. As a result, many banks have limited cash withdrawals to 20,000, far below the CBN's daily withdrawal limit of 500,000. Voice of the People's TV reporter Olukuton Oyedamola has the rest of the report.
Nigeria is facing another cash shortage. With many ATMs and banks out of money, people are turning to street currency traders who charge high fees. Despite the increase in circulation to 3.97 trillion, only 6.8% is in the bank. banks have limited withdrawals to 20,000 naira, far below the CBN limit of 500,000 naira. The CBN says it hasn't denied cash requests from banks, blaming the shortage on bank and agent-banker collaboration in rural areas. Agents charge up to 10% per transaction. Experts urge the CBN to tackle high transaction fees and ensure banks service their ATMs while promoting digital payment to reduce cash dependency.
Adjacent to them or opposite, there are a lot of POS operators that are giving cash. Where are they getting that cash from? Everybody is not very much financially buoyant, especially in this economy, to afford paying those 100 naira, 200 naira charges. So it's more of business liars to me than risk cash scarcity.
See, as a layman, because I'm not a banker, but what I understand is that maybe something is fishing, because you're supposed to be cash in the ATM. Remember that time of cashless? You go, some bankers, I know of some people who I don't know, I've not verified, but they were telling me that some of the bank workers are conniving with these POS operators, that they give them money, then collect something like interest on the money they give out, things like that. So I think maybe that is still happening. If you go to the bank, you cannot get clean notes, for example. Understand? But if you go to the play of operators, you will see clean notes. So how come? You are supposed to have clean notes in the banking hall, but no matter the amount you want to withdraw, they pay you out with dirty notes. So maybe there's something is going on there that the regulators of the bank need to look into.
POS operator have many accounts. So some can go to another bank, I use ATM to withdraw. When they withdraw, they can say when their money finish, they transfer to another account. Then they can go and withdraw and transfer to another bank. They can go, maybe some POS can have Zenith Bank, Access Bank, Union Bank, UBA. When they say they have to transfer their money to another account, then they withdraw for there, they transfer to another account, they withdraw, transfer. I believe that they can make it, because they cannot make money.
As you rightly heard from the citizens regarding this situation, hoping that the CBN can do right by the citizens and they can have access to their cash without having to pay so much charges or going through so much difficulties to get it. Nnamdi for Voice of the People TV.
Thank you, Nnamdi for that report. Now, ahead of the news is business, sports, and entertainment stories. Do stay tuned.
From the views on the street,
we go to bed empty hunger,
to the blaring horns of a hustling city, the loudest voices of the common man got a medium to be heard.
This particular administration, they were coming unprepared.
It's not a bad thing to renovate the president's lodge.
Through top-notch programming, unbiased reportage of news, sports, business, entertainment, and cultural documentaries, Voice of the People 90.3 FM became a symbol for 21st century media. And now, a new baby is born. Voice of the People Television, VOP TV, youthful, full of vigor and penchant for excellence in the continent's media space, exposing the wrongs, applauding the rights, dissecting the news without fear or favor, through factual and accurate stories and contents.
Corruption kills three things that makes a society.
Representing the interests of the people and giving them a voice. Voice of the People TV is here to stay towards building a fair society. VOP TV, Voice of the People Television, truly a voice for the people.
Welcome back, and this is still the news updates on Voice of the People TV. Now talking business. The Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprise, CPPE, has praised the federal government's executive order removing duties on pharmaceutical imports, predicting reduced drug costs and a job creation. Dr. Muda Yusuf, CPPE's director, stated that the fiscal policy would boost domestic pharmaceutical productions, improve healthcare access, and benefit the well-being of citizens. He emphasized that these measures would revitalize the pharmaceutical industry and create more jobs. Yusuf also recommended extending similar fiscal measures to other sectors such as agriculture, agrochemicals, and energy to address inflationary pressures and promote economic resilience. He highlighted the importance of reducing regulatory overlaps and strengthening domestic production capabilities to support sustainable economic growth and reduce dependency on imports. Still talking business, foreign investment inflows to Nigeria tripled in the first quarter of 2024, rising to $8.38 billion from $1.09 billion in the fourth quarter of 2023. Now, according to the National Bureau of Statistics, NBS, this 210% increase was driven by portfolio investments, which accounted for 61.48% of the total, followed by other investments and foreign direct investments. The banking sector attracted the highest inflows, totaling $2.07 billion, followed by the trading and manufacturing sector. The United Kingdom was the largest source of capital importation, contributing to 53.49% of the total, followed by South Africa and low revenue elasticity. In contrast, states like Lagos, Imo, and Zamfara were found to have a higher capacity to afford wage increases. ADSR suggested several strategies for states to finance higher wages, including improving tax collection, reducing corruption, and securing grants. Now, despite ongoing negotiations, the organized labor has demanded a new minimum wage of 250,000 naira, citing the expiration of the previous wage law and the current economic pressures. The federal government and state governors continue to negotiate, with the National Assembly expressing willingness to approve an increase to 70,000 naira. However, the organized labor insists on a national minimum wage to prevent deepening poverty and ensure fair compensation across all states. Now talking sports, Saudi Arabia's first division club, Al Rida, is targeting former Super Eagles head coach Jose Pizarro for their vacant managerial position. Following the departure of Oder Halman, the club has shortlisted Pizarro as one of two potential candidates, with the other coaches remaining unknown. Pizarro, who led Nigeria to a second-place finish at the 2023 African Cup of Nations in Côte d'Ivoire, is currently evaluating his next move after leaving his post in February. Al Riyadh, which finished 14th in the league last season, is reportedly among several clubs interested in the experienced Portuguese coach.